This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Friday that decisions made by the OPEC Plus group to cut oil production were depoliticized and were not related to what Moscow calls its special military operation in Ukraine. After Russia started what it calls a special military operation in Ukraine in February last year, Western nations have accused OPEC of manipulating oil prices and undermining the global economy through high energy costs. The West has also accused OPEC of siding with Russia. I have to tell you that all the decisions made within the framework of OPEC Plus to reduce production are, above all, of a depoliticized nature, Putin said in comments to the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum.
Iran's crude exports and oil output have hit new highs in 2023 despite U.S. sanctions, according to consultants, shipping data and a source familiar with the matter, adding to global supply when other producers are limiting output. Tehran's oil exports have been limited since former U.S. President Donald Trump in 2018 exited a 2015 nuclear accord and reimposed sanctions aimed at curbing oil exports and the associated revenue to Iran's government. Even so, exports have risen during the term of his successor President Joe Biden. Iranian and Western officials have said the U.S. is holding talks with Iran to sketch out steps that could limit the nuclear program.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
European Union countries' ambassadors struck a deal on Friday on a landmark renewable energy law after the Commission agreed to possibly exempt certain ammonia plants from renewable fuel targets. The Commission declaration ends a stalemate on passing the law after France and other states held up its approval for weeks to seek carve-outs for non-renewable fuels such as nuclear. The law significantly increases the EU's renewable energy targets, requiring 42.5% of EU energy to be renewable by 2030, replacing the bloc's current 32% target for that date.
Indian state retailers' sales of gasoline fell in the first half of June from the same period last month as well as a year earlier, preliminary sales data showed on Friday, as a heatwave curtailed mobility. Sales of gasoline, used in passenger vehicles and two-wheelers, fell 3.8% to 1.31 million tons in the first half of June from the same period a month ago, the data showed. However, sales of gasol, mainly used by trucks, rose 3.4% to 3.43 million tons, according to the data. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Tin prices in Shanghai rallied to an 8-week peak on Friday, as recent production cuts in China fanned supply concerns at a time demand is set to pick up, also ahead of an upcoming ban by the world's major ore supplier Myanmar. The most traded July tin contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange ended daytime trade 2% higher at 220,240 yuan, $30,923.03, a metric ton, the highest since April 20th. Refined tin production in China's southwestern Yunnan province, southern Jiangxi and Guangxi declined recently because of tightening raw material supplies, according to the International Tin Association, ITA.
Iron ore futures posted weekly gains for a third week in a row, benefiting from strong expectations of more stimulus to be rolled out to help the bumpy post-COVID-19 economic economy in top steel consumer China. Futures prices of the steel-making ingredient were little changed on Friday amid mixed market signals. The most traded September iron ore on the Dalian Commodity Exchange, DCE, ended daytime trading 0.12% higher at 815 yuan, $114.48, a metric ton, posting a weekly gain of 2.4%.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Senior Russian officials said on Friday the Black Sea grain deal could not be extended under current circumstances but that Moscow was working to ensure that poorer countries would not suffer food shortages when it ends. The deal, brokered by the United Nations and Turkey in July 2022, allowed Ukraine to resume seaborne grain exports to help tackle a global food crisis the UN said had been exacerbated by Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II. Last month Moscow reluctantly agreed to extend the deal, known by diplomats as the Black Sea Grain Initiative, until July 17 on condition that it also received help with its own food and fertilizer exports. Russia says this help has not materialized.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.